Hey guys, welcome back to TNG Life, and in today's video I'm going to be talking to you about my 18 weeks pregnancy update. The 18th week was very stressful and emotional and a roller coaster and rough, and I don't even know any word that you can think of. Week, that type of week. So let me first go ahead and show you the size of the baby for week 18, and then I'm going to get into the details as far as what happened. So week 18, the baby was the size of a sweet potato or a cucumber. And the funny one that I have as far as the animals go is the baby was the size of a baby hedgehog for week 18. How cute is that? It says that the length was about 5.59 inches from crown to rump, and the weight was about 6.70 ounces, give or take, obviously. So let me jump into my notes real quick. Let me pull up my notes and talk about what happened. So week 18, like I said, was extremely stressful for us just because of what happened. Before I get started with what happened during week 18, I just want to warn you guys, this is going to be a TMI, pregnancy related, women related, all that kind of stuff. So if you're not into it, just close that video down and watch my next video. So I warned you guys. During week 18, I got up one morning and I was getting ready to go to the bathroom. I got up and I felt wet. It was wet down there. It felt like kind of like something was leaking a little bit. So I freaked out because that's exactly what happened to me during my miscarriage when one morning I got up and I went to the bathroom and I felt wetness and it was blood. Well, this time it wasn't blood, thank God. It was something else, but it was still scary. I was like, okay, what's going on? Just kind of weird. And just to let you guys kind of know, I know that a lot of women get discharged in pregnancy. However, for me, all the weeks in the past, I have not had major discharge. I haven't had major wetness. I haven't had any type of thing like that that was like a bunch and a lot that was, you know, kind of normal. I was pretty much dry. You know, not too dry, but for the most part, if you know what I mean. So when that happened, I was like, okay, what's going on? That's kind of strange. It's not blood, but you know, it's kind of doesn't feel normal. So I was like, okay, so I went to the bathroom. I went back to bed and I laid down for like a little bit. And then I felt a little bit more kind of like leaking, not like pouring, you know, just like a tiny little bit. So I was like, okay, this is really strange because it's never happened. None of the weeks I've had that happened. And so I was like, what's going on? I told my husband, he was at work, and I told him what's going on. At first he was like, it should be okay, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, started to freak out as I did. He was like, okay, maybe we should go in, get it checked out just because we don't know what it is. And I started freaking out. When I was up for the day, I actually had to like put on a pad because a liner, like, you know, just a liner wouldn't work. I actually called my OB office and I was like, hey, this is what's going on. What should I do? And they're like, well, you can go to either labor and delivery, which is kind of like, you know, going to like emergency type of thing, or let me check. They're like, let me check if we have any appointments with any other OB or anybody out there. So I'm like, okay, please do, because if I go into labor and delivery or if I go into emergency room, that's gonna take at least 6 hours just sitting there. And you know, all the stress that comes with just waiting and not knowing, and then afterwards and all that. Thank God they had one appointment in the afternoon that day, and I took it and I was like, okay. So my husband got home and almost right away we went to that appointment, because remember, as I mentioned in my past videos, my insurance doesn't cover any hospitals around me except if it's an emergency. And so I have to go to a hospital which is like about an hour away from us. So we went to the hospital for my appointment, and it was just a normal like OB appointment. The whole way there, I'm gonna try not to cry because this is ridiculous. Sorry guys, it brings up so many emotions just because how scary it was. But my whole way there, I was just thinking the worst, like the worst, because obviously I researched and started searching Dr. Google, and obviously Dr. Google says that, you know, it's your amniotic sac that broke, it's your water leaking, and obviously at 18 weeks it's not a good thing. You know, nothing good can come out of it. So I was just thinking the worst. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go. Most likely I'm just gonna have to stay in the hospital for who knows how long, if, you know, anything is even going to be okay, and if not, then it's just gonna be even worse. So just like thinking all these horrible things, my heart is racing, my blood pressure is high. It was just very, very, very emotional and difficult and stressful. Finally, we get to the hospital, and I went in, saw one of the OBs at the hospital, and she asked me what's going on. First, she checked the baby's heart rate, and it was fine, sounded good. And then after that, she had me, you know, just undress and do like a pelvic exam type of thing, you know, kind of like when you get your pap smear done. She basically just looked in there, did a bunch of different swabs and tests, and ran a couple tests right then and there, checking if it was my water. Thank God it wasn't. She said that it's not your water didn't break. She's like, you know, I checked this. She did like swabs, she did like a microscope checking for that just to make sure. And she said everything looks fine. She said most likely this is just your discharge. You know, pregnant women get increase in discharge. She said that sometimes when you're sleeping, your mucus down there can, I guess, like liquefy, and so when you get up it can feel like it's leaking. So anyways, that's what she said. She said everything's okay, and we were on our way home, and I was excited, I was happy, I was relieved. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm so thankful that wasn't it. I didn't have to stay there, and just all these things, just so much relief. I was so happy that I didn't have to go to the ER and spend hours waiting for them to check me. So I got home, had a little bit more of that discharge, and the next day I thought, okay, well, maybe it's gonna be better the next day. The next day, I actually walked a little bit on my treadmill just to get some exercise in, and I had to put a pad because I was leaking, and I wasn't leaking a ton, but it was quite a bit to not, you know, to have to put a pad on and not a liner. And in the end, I figured out that basically my bladder is leaking. It was a pee. It wasn't really a discharge. Maybe there's some discharge, but not much, but at this point, but it was my pee. I don't know what happened, guys. I don't feel like my bump is not huge. It hasn't changed a ton. So I really have no idea what happened, but all of a sudden I started leaking pee. And you know, it's not constantly, it's not like all day long, all night long, it's just once in a while, but sometimes it's like not too little, so it's like, what the heck, like, and I go and I empty my bladder and all this. So obviously I know I got some advice from other women, and they said that yeah, it's your pelvic floor muscles, they need to be worked on, blah blah, especially if you had kids in the past. You know, a lot of women get that, which is fun, but you know, so I started doing some exercises as much as I can for my pelvic floor. But if you guys have had that experience, basically peeing yourself, and I understand, like, it happened to me in the past when like I sneezed real hard, I would let a little bit of pee out, like that happens, I get it, but that wasn't it. It was just like when I'm up and just standing, sometimes it would leak. So I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't understand why it changed all of a sudden to that. Nothing major happened, and I don't get it. So if you guys ever had that happen to you, please comment down below and let me know. So that's what happened. It's still going on a little bit once in a while, so it's not gone. I feel like it gets better. Some days are better than others. I'm actually 19 weeks now that I'm filming this, and yeah, so that was my week 18. As far as other symptoms go, with all that stress that I had for a couple days with that going on, I actually lost a couple pounds, just because I wasn't feeling too hungry, you know, with all that stress, and just, you know, I was eating, but I wasn't eating a lot. So one other exciting things that happened during week 18 is I started feeling flutters. Which I know I mentioned in my past video that I actually felt the baby move for the first time, like maybe like roll around or like move, but not like a punch or a kick. And during week 18, I started feeling flutters, and they feel like small vibrations down in my like uterus. I've been feeling them on and off. Some days I feel them quite a lot during the day, like they come and go, and some days I feel nothing. So that's just how it's been, and that's my week 18 update. For next week, I'm actually not going to do week 19 update for you guys, or combine week 19 and 20, just because week 20, which is actually for me next week, I am having my anatomy scan. Excited to see the baby because we haven't seen the baby since week 11. I believe, and so we're just so excited to see the baby, to see how everything is doing, but at the same time we're very nervous, you know, because it is a big scan. Hopefully the baby cooperates and we are good to go after that. So I'll let you guys know that's why I'm not going to be doing week 19 update, just because I feel like not much is going on during week 19. Please thumbs up for this video. Share your opinions if you have any, as far as you know, my symptoms and what I've told you guys. And send us good vibes and prayers our way for our anatomy scan. And we will talk to you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.